Last week, I was volunteering at a Red Cross disaster relief training session, and this veteran coordinator, who's responded to over 200 emergencies across the country, pulled me aside. She said something that completely changed how I think about emergency preparedness. She told me, most people prepare for the disaster they saw on TV, not the disaster that's actually coming to their neighborhood. Then she showed me the Red Cross's updated 2025 emergency stockpile list, 15 items they're now telling every American household to have immediately. I spent the next month diving deep into Red Cross emergency response protocols, talking to disaster coordinators, and analyzing what actually saves lives when everything goes wrong. What I discovered is that the families who survive disasters best aren't the ones with the most expensive gear. They're the ones who have these specific 15 items that the Red Cross has identified as absolutely critical. But here's what shocked me most about their updated guidelines. This isn't your grandfather's disaster prep advice. The Red Cross has completely revolutionized their recommendations based on real-world data from recent disasters, and honestly, some of these items surprised even me, as someone who's been researching preparedness for years. Item number 9 on this list literally saved 400 families during Hurricane Ian, but 90% of Americans don't even know it exists. And item 15? The Red Cross calls it their game changer because it solves the #1 problem that kills people in the first 72 hours of any disaster. Quick question before we dive in. Have you ever actually looked at what the Red Cross recommends for emergency preparedness? Drop a comment below, because most people think they know, but have never seen the official guidelines that could save their lives. Item 1. Water storage system with purification. Let's start with what the Red Cross calls the absolute foundation of survival, water storage with purification capability. And I'm not talking about just buying cases of bottled water from the store. The Red Cross now recommends what they call a comprehensive water security system. Here's what most people don't understand about the Red Cross water guidelines. The Red Cross recommends 1 gallon per person per day, but that's just for drinking. They actually want you to have 2 gallons per person per day when you factor in cooking, hygiene, and basic sanitation needs. But here's where the Red Cross guidance gets really smart. They've learned from disasters like Hurricane Maria and the Texas freeze that water infrastructure can be down for weeks, not days. Their 2025 guidelines now recommend at least 2 weeks of water storage minimum, with 1 month being optimal. The game changer is water purification capability. The Red Cross has seen too many families run out of stored water and then get sick from contaminated sources. They now specifically recommend portable water filters rated for bacteria, viruses, and parasites, not just the basic camping filters that most people think are adequate. My Red Cross contact who worked on Hurricane Ian told me that families with both stored water and purification systems were the ones helping neighbors instead of needing help. When their stored water ran low, they could safely use water from pools, rivers, or even rain collection. The Red Cross recommends food-grade water storage containers, not just plastic bottles that degrade over time. We're talking about 55-gallon barrels, or stackable water bricks that maintain water quality for years. Item 2. Extended food supply. Here's where the Red Cross has completely changed their recommendations based on hard data from recent disasters. They used to suggest 3 days of food. Now, they're telling families to prepare for at least 2 weeks, with 1 month being strongly recommended. The Red Cross learned from disasters like the 2021 Texas freeze that grocery stores don't just run out of food, they stay closed for weeks when infrastructure fails. Supply trucks can't deliver, staff can't get to work, and even when power is restored, restocking takes time. But here's what the Red Cross emphasizes that most people miss: calorie density and nutritional completeness. They're not talking about snack foods and crackers. They want 2,000 plus calories per person per day of foods that provide complete nutrition without requiring cooking. The Red Cross specifically recommends freeze-dried meals for long-term storage because they maintain nutritional value for decades and require only water to prepare. But they also emphasize having foods that require no preparation at all, things like nuts, dried fruits, and energy bars. I was reading a Red Cross after-action report from Hurricane Katrina, and you know what they found? Families with proper food supplies weren't just surviving, they were maintaining better mental health and making better decisions because they weren't constantly worried about their next meal. The psychological impact of food security during disasters cannot be overstated. When you know your family will eat well for weeks, you can focus on helping others and solving problems instead of scrambling for survival. Item 3. Emergency communication device. The Red Cross now considers emergency communication absolutely critical because they've learned that getting help depends entirely on your ability to communicate your location and needs to emergency services. We're talking about a multi-band emergency radio with NOAA weather alerts, AM/FM capability, and shortwave frequencies. But here's what the Red Cross emphasizes: multiple power sources, hand crank, solar charging, battery backup, and USB charging capability. During Hurricane Maria, the Red Cross found that families with emergency radios were able to locate aid stations, receive evacuation instructions, and coordinate with rescue teams while everyone else was cut off from critical information. But here's where the Red Cross guidance gets really smart. They recommend radios with two-way communication capability, not just receiving information, but being able to transmit your location and status to emergency services. The Red Cross has seen too many situations where people were trapped or injured but couldn't signal for help. Having reliable communication equipment literally means the difference between being rescued and being forgotten. Item 4. Comprehensive first aid supplies. Let me be clear about something the Red Cross emphasizes constantly. During disasters, you become your family's first responder. Hospitals get overwhelmed, ambulances can't reach you, and professional medical help might be days away. The Red Cross first aid recommendations go way beyond Band-Aids and aspirin. They want trauma dressings for serious bleeding, burn gel for fire-related injuries, and diagnostic tools like thermometers and blood pressure cuffs. But here's what the Red Cross really emphasizes: prescription medication backup. They recommend at least a 30-day supply of any critical medications because pharmacies close, supply chains get disrupted, and refills become impossible. My Red Cross contact who worked in Puerto Rico recovery told me that families with comprehensive medical supplies weren't just taking care of themselves. They were providing critical care to neighbors with injuries, chronic conditions, and medical emergencies. The Red Cross has identified specific medical supplies that save the most lives during disasters: hemostatic gauze for controlling bleeding, emergency antibiotics for preventing infections, and epinephrine autoinjectors for severe allergic reactions. Item 5. Multiple light sources. The Red Cross learned that lighting isn't just about seeing in the dark, it's about maintaining safety, morale, and functionality when everything else fails. The Red Cross recommends layered lighting: headlamps for hands-free work, lanterns for area lighting, and emergency beacon lights for signaling rescue teams. Each lighting layer needs different power sources: rechargeable batteries for daily use, disposable batteries for extended emergencies, and solar charging capability for long-term disasters. During Hurricane Sandy, Red Cross workers found that families with proper lighting systems maintained better mental health and were able to continue normal activities like cooking and caring for children. Item 6. Emergency heating and cooling. The Red Cross emphasizes climate control as a survival necessity because extreme temperatures kill more people during disasters than almost any other factor. For heating, they recommend safe indoor heating sources like kerosene heaters with proper ventilation and sleeping bags rated for cold temperatures. But they absolutely insist on carbon monoxide detectors with battery backup. For cooling, the Red Cross recommends battery-powered fans, cooling towels, and electrolyte replacement supplies. Heat stroke is a real killer, especially for elderly family members. Red Cross statistics from the 2021 Texas freeze show that carbon monoxide poisoning killed more people than anything else. The families who survived had safe, redundant heating systems. Item 7. Sanitation and hygiene supplies. The Red Cross considers comprehensive sanitation absolutely critical because poor sanitation leads to disease outbreaks that kill more people than the original disaster. They recommend extensive hygiene supplies: moist towelettes, hand sanitizer, feminine hygiene products, and waste disposal systems. But they also want portable toilet supplies, heavy-duty garbage bags, plastic ties, and toilet chemicals. During Hurricane Katrina, Red Cross workers found that families who maintained good hygiene stayed healthier and maintained better mental health throughout the crisis. Item 8. Fire safety and starting equipment. The Red Cross emphasizes that fire is both your friend and your enemy during disasters. You need a controlled fire for cooking and heating, plus equipment to suppress dangerous fires. For fire suppression, they recommend multiple fire extinguishers rated for different fire types, smoke detectors with battery backup, and escape ladders for multi-story homes. For controlled fire, the Red Cross recommends waterproof matches, magnesium fire starters, and portable camping stoves with fuel. When power's out and gas lines might be compromised, alternative cooking methods become essential. Item 9. Emergency cash and small bills. Here's item number 9, something that literally saved 400 families during Hurricane Ian. Emergency cash in small denominations becomes absolutely critical when electronic payment systems fail. The Red Cross learned from Hurricane Sandy that when power grids fail, credit cards don't work, ATMs don't work, and digital payments become impossible. You're instantly back to a cash-only economy. During Hurricane Ian, Red Cross workers documented families with emergency cash who were able to buy gasoline, food, and services while everyone else had nothing to trade. But here's the key: small bills. Having 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s gives you exact payment capability. The Red Cross recommends at least $500 in small bills per family, stored in waterproof containers. Item 10. Important documents in fireproof storage. The Red Cross has seen too many families lose everything twice, once to the disaster and again to bureaucracy, because they couldn't prove who they were or what they owned. They recommend fireproof, waterproof storage for copies of identification, insurance policies, bank account information, medical records, and emergency contact lists. The Red Cross wants both physical and digital copies. Waterproof USB drives with encrypted documents, plus physical papers in fireproof safes, give you redundant protection. During Hurricane Katrina, families with proper document storage were able to start insurance claims and access bank accounts immediately, while others waited weeks just to begin recovery. Item 11. Tools and hardware. The Red Cross learned that when professional help isn't available, families become their own maintenance crews. Having basic tools can literally save your life. Essential tools include adjustable wrenches for shutting off gas and water lines, multi-tools with pliers and screwdrivers, duct tape and zip ties for emergency repairs, and heavy-duty tarps for weather protection. But the Red Cross really emphasizes knowing where your utility shutoffs are and how to use them. When gas lines rupture or water mains break, quick action prevents catastrophic secondary damage. Item 12. Personal protection equipment. The Red Cross now emphasizes personal protective equipment for navigating hazardous post-disaster environments. Work gloves, safety glasses, dust masks, or N95 respirators, and sturdy boots protect you from common disaster-related injuries. Broken glass, contaminated air, debris, and unstable structures all pose serious threats. The Red Cross stresses that you can't help your family if you're injured doing basic survival tasks. Personal protection keeps you functional when everything around you is dangerous. Item 13. Emergency shelter materials. The Red Cross recommends emergency shelter materials because your home might be damaged but still partially habitable, and improving it might be better than evacuation. Heavy-duty tarps, rope, bungee cords, and plastic sheeting can seal broken windows, cover roof damage, or create temporary living spaces when your home is compromised but not destroyed. The Red Cross also wants materials that can create safe rooms for chemical or biological threats. Plastic sheeting and duct tape can seal off part of your house for clean air when outside air becomes dangerous. Item 14. Backup power sources. The Red Cross emphasizes that power outages affect everything from lighting to medical equipment, and having alternative power sources keeps critical devices operational when the grid fails. Solar power banks, battery generators, and hand crank chargers provide electricity for phones, radios, and medical equipment. The Red Cross recommends devices with multiple charging options and the capacity to power your most critical needs. During Hurricane Maria, families with backup power were able to maintain communication with rescue services, power medical devices, and preserve food supplies, while everyone else lost everything. Item 15. Emergency location device. Here's item 15, what the Red Cross calls their game changer, because it solves the #1 problem that kills people in the first 72 hours, being found by rescue teams. Personal locator beacons or satellite communicators can transmit your exact GPS coordinates to emergency services even when cell towers are down and the internet is out. These devices work anywhere and connect directly to rescue coordination centers. The Red Cross learned from Hurricane Katrina that people died not because help wasn't available, but because rescue teams couldn't find them fast enough. Having reliable location capability means the difference between being rescued quickly and being forgotten. During Hurricane Ian, Red Cross workers documented multiple families who were located and rescued within hours because they had emergency locator devices, while others in the same area waited days for help. The bottom line, look, I know this seems like a comprehensive list, and honestly, it is. But here's what the Red Cross wants every American family to understand. Disasters are getting more frequent, more severe, and lasting longer than ever before. You don't need to buy everything at once. The Red Cross recommends building your emergency supplies gradually, focusing on one category per month. Start with water and food, then add communication and medical supplies, and then work through the rest of the list. The families who prepare now using Red Cross guidelines will be the ones helping their communities later instead of needing help themselves. When disaster strikes, you want to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. If this list opened your eyes to what the Red Cross actually recommends for emergency preparedness, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I'm constantly researching disaster response protocols, analyzing emergency data, and learning from professional responders who've seen what works and what doesn't. Drop a comment telling me which of these 15 items surprised you most, or share your own emergency preparedness experience. Your insights help other families understand what really matters when disasters strike. Remember, the goal isn't living in fear of disasters. The goal is to be prepared so your family has options and can help others when normal systems fail. The Red Cross knows what saves lives because they've seen what doesn't work thousands of times. Your future self will thank you for taking the Red Cross guidance seriously and preparing before disaster strikes your neighborhood.